The project we have waited 3 years for, it's finally time to start our kill teams for our Sisters vs Trader Guard Kill Team Battle Reports. And we're starting with you.
Yes. So in this video, I'm going to print, build, and paint up my Sisters kill team, come up with a paint scheme, and even talk a little bit about the lore. Well, you're going to talk about the lore.
We're really excited to share these models with you and, as I said, to start the journey of this long overdue battle report. So Jen, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so for this project, I'm making up my Sisters kill team, which is totally exciting because we're using our new models from the Sisters of the Old Blood range, which look really, really cool. I can't wait to show you guys what they look like, but we need to print them. So I'm gonna get Dave to do all of the printing for me because he's really, really good at it. I think for the kill team style board, we might actually use One Page's rules Grimdark Firefight. Kindred have also got rules for One Page rules as well, so it makes total sense to do it for the Sisters. Plus, I think the theme works really well too, so I'm really excited to do that. So with all that said and done, let's get these models on a print bed printing so we can get started. The Sisters are all done. We've taken them off the print bed and I'm super happy with how these look. They're so cool. I'm gonna have so much fun customizing them. If anyone is like me in like a real 90s kid, I had so much fun just doing those like doll things online where you could like customize what you wanted your doll to look like. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. Most of you probably won't. But the point is I can pick and choose how I want these guys to look, and there's different options as well, which is really, really fun. There's a couple of choices that I definitely want to go with for this particular unit, which is awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and start building these guys, and then I'm gonna share my thoughts on what I think, and then we get to paint them. So there's two different options that we have printed up for these units that have come from Patrick, and they look absolutely awesome. We have our melee option. These guys have swords and a couple of different arm variants that you can pick and choose from. Some of my favorites are the lantern and the fan in particular. I think that these are really on theme and they look awesome. You also have the option to include pistols and swords on their side belt. These prints came off absolutely beautifully and everything glued into place really nicely too. And I really like the holes that are on the sides as well, as it meant when gluing in their sidearms, it's really easy. The second unit we have is our more fancier Sisters. These guys are like hunters with their very cute riding hats. Less arm options here aside from a rifle or a flamethrower, but some customization in their bodies, and again, mentioning those hats too, and the hairdos underneath. It's really cool to have these models that have a bit of personality to each of them. Some of them are wearing bigger hats, smaller hats, different variants, feathers, bows. It's these little touches that I love so much. And I can totally see these guys out in the forest hunting for some demon spawn, and they may even need some hunting dogs. I think that would be a really nice little touch to add a hound to this unit. Again, it's super easy to glue in with their arms being combined so you don't lose any of the pieces. Different options too, such as reloading, and the choice of an ammo belt or a pocket on their side waist. And with everything glued into place, these guys are pretty much done and look so cool. So now it's time to paint them up. So these guys are all done. I think I've mentioned this like 50 times before, but I love them. They're so cool. It's really awesome to see a unit like this, or units like this, because I've never seen something like this before. Just a couple of really cool female models that are out hunting. Like, it's so cool. Anyway, so I'm gonna spray these guys up so we can get started painting them. And I think I'm gonna use a little bit of a Mari method and do two different colored sprays. I'm gonna do a blue and a red, I think. Maybe a purple and red. I haven't quite decided, but I really want to go for that moody look because another aesthetic is obviously them being super moody, and I like painting moody stuff. So go ahead and spray. Let's do it. Let's talk about color scheme when it comes to painting up the Sisters of the Old Blood. Now, obviously, the Sisters that I've been painting previously for my Warhammer 40k army already had a color scheme established. I also mentioned in the previous video how much I liked the color red and wanted this to be included in their color palette, at least for the showcase army that we would be making and representing. So when thinking about a color palette, the main colors I wanted to use were metallics, silver and gold, black, red, and even a little bit of brown. And then using ivory as an additional color just for that little pop of brightness here and there. When I think about the color palette I've chosen for these guys and how I've painted my sisters, they're kind of similar, which is totally fine because when I painted my 40k army, I wanted to convey a certain mood. It also helped that Alicia had made this really nice splash art already, so I took a lot of inspiration and colors from this image as well. It's actually been a little while since I've painted something. I've been out of the hobby for a couple of months working on some other personal projects, so it's really nice to sit down without a real plan aside from a couple of color choices and just start painting for the fun of it. I didn't necessarily think about the army as a whole. I kind of just thought about painting a single miniature and how I wanted it to look. So I painted up this melee sister first just to establish some colors, and then I moved on to my hunter lady. Again, keeping in with that same color scheme, just making a few changes here and there. She has a little bit less armor on her, however, has a beautiful fascinator hat. So I added in a little bit more color here, but otherwise kept everything pretty much the same. I think one of the hardest things when trying to paint up a darker color scheme is trying to separate all of the colors. I have a tendency to want to paint black into everything, but then everything would look black, which is kind of weird. Also, nothing is ever truly black or ever truly white. It's either hinting into warmer tones or cooler tones, and we've talked about this plenty of times on the channel before. So I thought about each piece of clothing individually and what color it would probably be in real life. I can imagine the overskirts that these girls are wearing would be red in color, as they're more of a visual highlight. It also helped break up the black from their blouse and their underskirt. Their pants underneath I made a brown color to represent leather leggings, as well as brown leather gloves on their hands. Now the sisters that have the melee weapons, I added some gold accents to the pieces of armor that they have on their face and shoulder pads, but I decided to also paint their hair white. This was more leading into the aristocratic, big grandiose wigs they used to wear back in the day, and I thought that this touch of white really looked nice within the model. Something I noticed with these models was some of the equipment that they were holding would make for really good OSL. The lanterns and the torches, for example, you could create some really awesome lighting effects. Now, there's still a bit of work to go on these guys. They're pretty much base coated with a couple of layer paints, but I would like to take it to the next level, adding in some more highlights and maybe even a black line as well. But I'm gonna call it a day for now, and I am really happy with how these are turning out. Okay, so it's the next day. I've gotten a fair bit of painting done, but I'm not finished. So I want to do a little bit more work on these two. These are the leaders of the kill team and make them look really, really good. Establish that color scheme. So I'm going to do that today, which will be great. However, while I'm painting this up, I think that it would be really cool to learn more about the sisters. And so while I'm painting these guys up, we're going to head over to Dave, who's going to do a lore dump for you guys. He's an amazing storyteller, and we worked in collaboration with coming up with their story, so I think he should be the one to give you guys all the information about the sisters, who they are and what they do. So let's head over to Dave and learn more about the Sisters of the Old Blood.
Enthusiastic lore dumps, that's my wheelhouse. So you want to know a little bit about the Sisters of the Old Blood. I'm so excited to tell you because we've been working on this behind the scenes for quite a long time. So I'll give you a brief overview of the world. The setting that all of our models are sharing is a post-apocalyptic one. However, the civilization that had the apocalypse, it was a galaxy-spanning empire. This means there are remnants of the world that was everywhere, and we get to have a lot of fun with all the different societies building up in the ruins. The Sisters form one of the major religions, and their rough level of technology is around the Victorian era or the Industrial Revolution, but there's a smattering of old tech in there as well. Most of this is revered and poorly understood by the Sisters, but what they do know how to operate, they can operate with great effectiveness. And a big example of this is their power armor suits, which are not common amongst their rank. They're actually only used by the elite members. They're quite sacred and quite rare relics. A whole bunch of questions got asked around the studio, and we came up with the answers, such as why does this civilization revere an order of warrior women? What is it that makes them special? What is it that makes them unique? To try and get an understanding of how this would work. And the answer we basically came to is that the sisters drink a drop of the old blood and it gives them supernatural powers. It makes them strong, resilient, capable of regenerating from injuries. However, there is a great sacrifice that needs to be made by the sisters. And this is where their lore gets really dark, because it was discovered when people tried to imbibe this old blood that everyone died. They were twisted and mutated when they drank it, and they just died. There was no positive outcome for them, no superpowers, until by pure chance, one of the nuns drank the old blood as part of a ritual sacrifice, and she survived. And the reason for this is, while no one knew this, she was actually pregnant. You see, to save the world, they have to give up something very special to them. So now it is such that women in the Sisters of the Old Blood only take on the blood once they are pregnant, and they give up their newborn child to the service of the church. A little bit poignant given that Jen's pregnant, but this was all established before that happened, so it's a little bit weird, and we're trying to deal with that, but it's fine. What they don't know is that the dark blood of the elder god has taken deep root in these children, and that's something we're going to be able to explore in the lore as we develop it later. While the sisters may cut a dash through the battlefield against gun-wielding enemies like the Kindred, they actually operate almost akin to vampires, with their enhanced speed, allowing them to dodge bullets, regenerate hits, and then tear apart enemies with their bare hands. The rudimentary technology and weapons of the sisters, relative to those more advanced factions, is not something that holds them back. But for now, I did actually want to talk to you a little bit about the campaign, more about some of the minis that are coming. So we can show you a sneak peek of some work in progresses that Patrick Keith from Bombshell Minis, who is sculpting all of our sisters' lady models. And these are the heavy infantry, the power armor wearing troops that I'm sure some of you will be quite excited to see. We've really taken these in our own direction. They're gaudy, they're detailed, they're beautiful, they're accentuated with fabric areas and bustles, but they also represent that grim, depressing backstory that I've mentioned for the sisters, with these weeping faces. The Cathedral Guard variants we can't show you any of just yet, but I hope the standard elite infantry for the sisters will be impressive enough in these whips for you to get excited. Beyond that, there are going to be 3 hunter characters. These sisters are sisters literally as well as metaphorically, combining our favorite things from vampires and vampire hunters. They're basically Van Helsing meets a vampire. Each of them represents an archetype of fighting, from the grappling hook and rapier wielding younger sister to the incredibly tanky and powerful middle sister who uses her massive cleaver blade to dismember huge mutated beasts out in the wastes, to the slightly more calm and collected Van Helsing-esque weird Victorian world technology wielding elder sister. These models, the heavies, the Cathedral Guard, and the light models Jen's painting in this video, will form the launch bundle for the Sisters of the Old Blood, but we have a bunch of stretch goals planned. We'd love to hear from you which of these sounds the most exciting. One of the biggies we're not going to budge on is a large multi-part sort of centerpiece model, which is their big train, and that's going to lay tracks down across a battlefield before it can basically move backwards and forth in a straight line. We have the Beastmasters, a set of sisters who go to battle with the mutated, strange gargoyle-like creatures. No one but the highest in the sisters' orders know where these beasties come from, but what it is known is that they're fiercely loyal when commanded with a crop, a whip, and a bit of aggressive religious encouragement. Another stretch goal are the courtiers. There is no greater honor than being one of the gentlemen that gets chosen as worthy to be one of the sires of the children required for the great sacrifice the sisters make. There's so many more stretch goals. I'd love to hear which one of those you're most interested in seeing in miniature form to join the sisters. And if you would like to follow the campaign and help it be a huge success and support us, go to the links in the description and follow our backer kit page. The more followers we can get, the bigger the launch can be. The bigger the launch is, the more we can do with this campaign. We're really excited to bring them to you. I hope this lore dump has not been too much. Let's get back to Jen and see her finish up her warband. Thanks for your time.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the little lore dump that Dave and I have come up with when it comes to Sisters of the Old Blood. I think their story is super cool, and I can't wait for us to be fleshing out this entire game system as a whole. We've got some really cool ideas coming up, and especially for this campaign as well, so I'm very excited to share that with you guys. Meanwhile, I've been painting up some of the other models in these units. Having painted the 2 to a certain point, I was able to go back and start establishing in some colors for the other units. However, it's gonna take me a little while to paint everything up, so I'm not gonna be able to do it all in this video. However, I did want to show some extra love to the 2 leaders that I had painted up previously. It's been just going back in and really tidying up some of those areas now that I had my colors and layers established, adding in some point highlights and just blending everything in nicely. Once that was done, it was time to create the world that these guys would be living in by theming their bases. I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna go with this theme when it comes to all of the sisters, but I really do like using texture paste because I think it's just really easy and creates an awesome atmosphere. So laying down some dirt texture paste on top of the bases, as well as some dry grass, a couple of rocks, and of course, I can't forget the iconic red flowers, which I like to think are red roses. I also have a dark purple color as well for these, and I think that I like these dark purple ones a little bit more, but I'm gonna use a mixture of both for these bases. So this is just the paint scheme that I personally have done for my Sisters of the Old Blood. They're really based off my previous models as well as Alicia's art, but I would love to see some different paint schemes and what people can come up with. Maybe something brighter, lighter, some creams, or something a completely different color. I'd be really interested to know down in the comments below what you think a good color scheme could be for these guys. And with a black trim to finish everything off, these guys are all done, and I can't wait to show you the first painted models for the Sisters of the Old Blood. So that's pretty much it for this video. I've had so much fun painting, building, and exploring what this series is gonna look like for the sisters.
They look so cool. I love that you've kind of kept the vibes of Alicia's artwork. We've got these dark, they look like ladies in mourning, which as you heard from the lore, they've got a little bit to mourn about.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my kill team basically done. I've got to paint up a couple more of the units, just more of these guys, and then I'll have my kill team finished.
Perfect. But that'll be done off screen before the next episode. And as for me, it's time for me to do my Traitor Guard kill team to fight these sisters. It's been a long time. A lot of people have been asking for more Traitor Guard, so I'm really excited to bring that to you. But we don't want to overload you and kind of bombard you with just sisters videos up until the launch. So we're going to be taking a few weeks where we're doing some other video content. We'll be back with some sister stuff, whether it's my Traitor Guard or a different sisters video in 3 or 4 weeks. So stay tuned for that.
And make sure you check out the backer kit page. All of the details are down below. We would love your support, especially if you like what you've seen today. There is more to come.
So much more. I mean, the train, I've been already talking to Jackson about the train and the heavy infantry. They look sick.
Yes.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Help support the project. See you in the next one. Choo choo.
Choo choo.